team president Peter Fagan called it, quote, one of the great days in Bucks history, close quote. Yes, it is. Tony, you were doubtful Giannis would stay. What do you now think of the decision he's made?
Yeah, so I'm surprised. I thought he would test free agency. I thought maybe he would want to be recruited and see what was out there. In the post-LeBron years, the recent post-LeBron years, everything seems to have changed and people move around and try to get on teams to win right away. We see this a lot in the last 5 or 6 years. Look, I didn't grow up in Greece. I never left my country for another country to live completely. I don't know what that's like. I cannot necessarily relate to that. I think an American born and raised player might have tested free agency. But if he wants to be there, and he doesn't even get an out, I think, for about 4 or 5 years, if he wants to be there, God bless him. More power to him. You know, that's his choice. Good for him.
You and I are old enough to remember when the great Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, after winning a championship, left Milwaukee.
Yes.
And they never got over it until like now. They're still trying to get over it. We both know that. I got to be around Giannis quite a bit last winter. And I've heard his story. He has told me part of that story. And a great part of it, Tony, which matters in whether you sign or not and how much money and what it means, is that when you are an undocumented immigrant and you are in Greece and you stand out like the Antetokounmpo young men, the Antetokounmpo boys did teenage years, even before. And as Giannis has said to me, you're afraid to look people in the eye because you don't know who is looking to take advantage of you and get you moved out. You have this, Tony, this is not the same as American kids, no matter how poor they think they are. You mentioned that, you alluded to that. The Antetokounmpo story, Tony, is one where he's looking at his family back where he came from, where he grew up, and the family he's got in the United States of America. This kind of wealth is transformational for the history of the Antetokounmpo family. So this is not just a matter of, I'll get it out in 2 years. Let me be recruited and see if the Knicks have some money and the Heat have. No. Antetokounmpo has lived a completely different life the first quarter of his life. And
I'm saying I can't relate to that.
I think I get
I can't relate to how he makes this decision. Good for him. It sets up in the East. He's going to be here for a while. So Boston and Philadelphia and Miami, everybody's going to have to deal with him being in the East. Now we'll see if they can attract other free agents. You mentioned Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He won a championship and he said, please trade me. And that's fair. It's like when LeBron won in Cleveland, he said, I'm leaving. That's fair. But this is much more old school than we've recently seen.
It is.
You know, this is Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Why do you think they call it the Bird rights? Why do you think? Because those guys stayed where they were, and this is a little bit different.
Congratulations to Milwaukee. I grew up 90 miles away, but I have a sense of what this means to Milwaukee, to Wisconsin. And even though this hurts the Bulls, hurts my team, I'm glad to see Giannis stay in Milwaukee. Good for him and good for the league and good for small market teams.
This next story is very interesting. The Athletic is reporting that some SEC and ACC schools are seeking to move the college football playoff semifinal game from the Rose Bowl to Jerry World in Texas. Why? Because California virus protocols will not allow family members in to watch the game. And Texas protocols are more relaxed. Wilbon, this would eliminate the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl, which has been played every year since 1916. How do you feel about this?
Tony, this is the bowl game where I come from and where I'm matriculated. This is the bowl game. And my first thought is, oh, God, really? The Rose Bowl? But my second thought is it's 2020. Or at least it will be the end of that part of 2020 where we have known the world to tilt in the way it has. So move it. Move it wherever you got to move it. I mean, half the things in California have already, including the people, have already moved to Arizona. So whether they come to Arizona or New Mexico or Texas, it doesn't really matter. It's one game. It's 1 year. We believe there's reason to believe much better times are coming and we can get back to sports as we think we knew them. Move the game. I mean, who can stand in the way of that and yell and scream?
So let me say that I really love the Rose Bowl parade. I love the floats. I love the flowers.
Oh, that's off.
I don't care that much about the game. I've watched it, but I'm not attached to it. You love to say that the SEC and the ACC run college football, and this looks like they do. And let me say, I'll stand with them on this one. Because to me, and I agree with California. I mean, I wouldn't let anybody in. I'm not even talking about 50,000 drunken fans when I say you got to let the moms and dads in, the parents. I was watching the Georgia LSU game. They took a shot in the stands of Brad Johnson and his wife watching
Florida
their
LSU,
son,
yeah.
quarterback for LSU. I felt really good about that. The Rose Bowl to me is the Pac-12, actually the Pac-10 or the Pac-8 against the Big Ten. Okay, and this wasn't going to be that necessarily.
No.
Maybe USC, Ohio State, and I changed my mind, but that's a real long shot. So let's not make this into the Old North Church, okay? It's not that big a deal. And just
it isn't.
let the kids' parents watch.
Part of me just wants to say no because it's the SEC, and now the SEC's, weak little brother, the ACC, which doesn't seem to have any belief in anything.
Of Arizona, and I play the role of Arizona State, 70-7.
You got that mixed up.
What's first?
Toss up. Who are you favoring in their rematch, Clemson or Notre Dame?
I'm favoring Clemson. I love Notre Dame. If they win, Clemson's out of the playoffs. If they keep it close, maybe Notre Dame stays in the playoffs. I just think Trevor Lawrence is a great, great player. He didn't play the first time around. He's going to play this time around. I favor Clemson.
I picked Clemson the first time around, knowing they wouldn't have Trevor Lawrence. I was wrong. I'm going to pick Clemson again this time with Trevor Lawrence, and I feel I'm going to be right. I'm not going to sort of dismiss Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a legit and worthy playoff team where we sit now. Can they keep themselves in that foursome? We'll find out. That clearly is the game of the weekend, Tony. But I'm going to go with Clemson and Trevor Lawrence because they know they got to go into this feeling we have to win. That's got to be Dabo's approach.
How about that story where they're accusing the ACC of deliberately pulling Notre Dame and Clemson out last week so neither one could get a loss before they played each other? How about that? The SEC obviously angry. What's next?
Toss up. More encouraging preseason debut, Kevin Durant or Zion Williamson?
You're going to have all the numbers. I'm just going to say this. Zion Williamson missed a bunch of games last year. He had injuries. He missed some games. Kevin Durant tore his Achilles. He missed the entire season. He went back out there and he played 24 minutes and he had to be scared. These games don't mean anything except from a conditioning standpoint. He had to be scared. He passed the first hurdle. Zion isn't even thinking of a hurdle. So the most important thing is Kevin Durant.
Yeah, Tony, it is Kevin Durant. That's the reason I watched. I called you. I tried to get you to tune into that game on NBA TV. No, you weren't sleeping. You were just being ornery. So Kevin Durant, you're right, though, Tone. Kevin Durant's coming back. Look, people come back from ACL, MCL, from doubles. They come back from fractured, cracked open legs. What they haven't come back for, if you talk to trainers and doctors, they haven't come back successfully 100% from Achilles tears. I hope Kevin Durant does. He looked smooth and he was able to glide. I don't know, he exploded. He didn't need to the first night. Zion looked great. Zion is 12 years old. He ought to look great. This is about Kevin Durant.
That's right.
Good for him.
9 rushing touchdowns, 35 points in the wild fourth quarter, and wonderful, gritty performances by both quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson, who came back into the game from body cramps. Wilbon, does this convince you that Jackson and the Ravens are back on track?
Yeah, I don't know what convinces me of anything these days. I'm not in the convincing business about what's going to happen in the next 3 weeks or 6 weeks or even next week. But I know this. That game was great. I don't care that it was played on Monday night, whatever damn day it was played on. That game is a great game. It's not just a great game of this season. It's a great game of many seasons, Tony. And when Lamar Jackson comes out of that locker room, when the backup quarterback has clearly got a knee injury and the camera shows him coming out of there, it's a scream out loud moment. I was going to call you at that moment. And then 2 people in my house said, ha, he's been asleep for an hour. But I thought of you first because I thought, like Steve Levy did when he described it, of Willis Reed. Does that not, can you not invoke Willis Reed, the captain?
Just stop. I'm going to take a 20. I'm going to take a 20. People can say what they want about this game. We'll talk at length about this game. Don't you dare mention Willis Reed. That is Game 7 of the NBA Championship Final. This is a game during the week of week 14 or whatever it is. Had this been in the Super Bowl, you could mention Willis. Stop that.
All right.
Don't you go there. I don't want any young New Yorkers going there either. Now, to this particular game, to me, it was one of those rare win-win situations. Baltimore proved it could win a game it had to win on the road, tough game, and Cleveland proved that they could play a tough game against a really good, accomplished team, a division rival. I mean, I'm looking at that. Look, I thought, Mike, that this would be the way it would end if it was close, that Baltimore would win in a close game.
Yeah.
They've been in this situation before. Cleveland hasn't. They've won the division. Cleveland hasn't. They've been to the playoffs, albeit going out quickly, but they've been there. Cleveland hasn't. Cleveland's never been in this. So it seemed to me reasonable that Cleveland would be able to say coming out of it, oh boy, we were finally in a real close game.
Yeah,
We
but
get
they're not.
blowed out.
But they're not. I'm with you. Like I think this is Baltimore's time. Be angry enough that you weren't able to win those playoff games in the last couple of years, and this maybe can kickstart you in that direction. So I do believe that. But Tony, it's interesting about Cleveland. And I thought going in they would win the game. I said that yesterday.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield, he looks like a guy